Hello, this is Paul with Reloading123. Sorry, I have been gone for a while and summer has happened in Idaho and I'm just running around like a crazy man doing projects. I may have told you, I may not have, but I just moved into this house October, and so right when winter started, and then we dive right into turkey season when winter ended, and then I've been traveling like crazy. So I'm basically I'm back. So what I want to do, we've come a long way on the rifle series. We are at the point now where we need to put some powder in some cases. So we're going to set up the powder measure, throw some charges using the dispenser, and we're going to seat some bullets and take some measurements, probably in 2 different installments, but this particular video is going to be focused on putting measuring powder and getting it in the case. Okay, let's get started. Okay guys, if you recall, this is the 20 cases of the 270 that we need to charge. We need to set up our powder scale and powder measure. The powder measure is off screen to the right, but I just wanted to make sure first, if you haven't already seen go take a look at my tips on maintenance and tuning of your balance beam scale. It'll help you get it all set up. We want to make sure the scale zeros on any time you move it on any change of surface. So I'm going to kind of get down on my knees and make sure we are zeroed. And it looks very, 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 did I say very? Close. So you can assume that the scale is now zeroed. Anytime you change pans, anytime you change surfaces, you're going to want to re-zero. We are going to set this scale to 57 1/2 grains. That is the 50 graduation. On the left, this particular scale, the tenths and hundredths here roll. So we are going to go 57 1/2. So across the bottom here, if I can point this out, excuse my arm, this is going to go to 57, and then this number 5 right here, you may or may not be able to see it, but it is going to be set up on this horizontal. This is one of those things you check twice, especially if you're a glasses wearer like me. Checked. Scale is set up to 57 1/2 grains. So what I'm going to do is show you I'm going to change the camera angle to the powder measure, and then we're going to get it set up. Okay, we've got you zeroed in on the powder measure, and I am a little tangled in my microphone cable. I realize that this is, I don't know if this is an angle that I have shown you before, because when I was setting up the camera, it looked very foreign. Basically, this is an old style RCBS powder measure that uses a micrometer setting here. It's just the same powder measure that you saw on the pistol reloading video. It uses a drum. This changes the internal capacity of the drum to change your powder drop. So we are going to measure powder using this magnificent tool. The powder of choice today is Reloader123. What you're going to do is you're going to put your powder, and if I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again, only have 1 powder on your workbench at a given time. Only one. Many guns have been blown up and fingers removed because of mistaken identity. So here's one thing that I do that many people don't do, but I think it is an insanely cool trick. So guess what? I do it. I take a rubber band. This rubber band is insanely old, and I'm off screen, of course, because the pen is not writing, but what I do is I write RL22 on the rubber band, and hopefully if it's the right size or close, I can put it right on the powder measure, and even if it hangs down here, it's cool. But this way I always know that this is Reloader 22 in this hopper. Don't be afraid to tap this down a little bit. You want this powder to kind of increase in density, if you will. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw a measure of powder, and then we are going to check it on the scale. I am also going to double check it on my electronic scale. So it's pretty simple. You know, what I tend to do is I tend to adjust this all the way out, throw the first charge. You're not going to be anywhere near, but I usually throw the charge 1, 2, 3 taps. Some people throw the charge and go tap, tap, tap. I tend to tap it this way, no rhyme or reason. So kind of off screen over here, I'm going to the powder scale, and lo and behold, it is way heavy. So we're going to put it back. We're going to run this up, and you know, there's no rhyme or reason for how many times I turn that. Really, all you want to do is get it to the point where it measures 57.5 grains, and it does it consistently with this 270 Winchester load with a 130 grain bullet. Still really heavy. This is the day that I wish I had set up the second camera, but because you already have a very detailed video on the pistol series, I figured you'd probably go through that pistol series before the rifle series. But alright, so it's the balance beam is balancing slower, but it's not in balance yet. So I just basically, you know, try to, on these preliminary throws, when I'm just trying to set it up, I'll do 3, 4, 5 throws and then kind of get my one charge that I'm going to test. And it actually went up to balance, and then it went back down. So this charge is a little bit on the light side. So I am going to just bring this out a touch. Same drill. These are all preliminary. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to test this one. Then what we're going to do is we're going to throw some charges. Once this thing zeros at 57.5 grains, it's still coming up about 3/10 light, which is cool. That means we're getting close. Yeah, same drill. And you really want the stroke of this arm to be smooth and consistent. Doesn't really matter what you do, as long as you do it the same every time. So like I said, I like to do the arm and then 3 taps. Again, that's just settling it the same way in the hopper every time. So we are at 57. It's just that 10th low. I'm going to leave it, and I'll show you why. I'm just going to kind of just pretend like I just adjusted it, but not, and see if it actually comes up. And all I do is occasionally, you'll see me grab this knob to the left. That's tightening this assembly to make sure there's no surprises. So it's come up, but we're still about a 1/10 off. You know what's going to happen is if I move this a hair, which I just did, which you'll never be able to see on camera, it'll probably be too much. So we'll see. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to measure, and actually on this puppy it measures exactly 57.5. Since I have this nice little handy electronic powder measure here, I am going to zero it with, and you saw this all in the pistol side, but I'm zeroing it with this little aluminum pan. I'm going to throw my charge. I'm going to measure it on the balance beam scale. This is kind of unnecessary. Don't think you have to do this. When I'm just reloading and it's coming in a little bit light again, no, that's just the way it is. So it's kind of coming at like 57.4. And funny, it hits it on the dot 57.4 on my digital scale, which is bizarre, but I am going to just try to move this hair again. And I'm a little bit anal with my rifle loads. I ain't even showing you the half of it. We'll get into that at some point. Alright, so let's try this whole thing again. Let's see if I brought that up, that 0.1. And the funny thing is this is, the scale is actually accurate to plus or minus 1/10. So, and I'm like 1/10 over now. No surprise, which I shouldn't have messed with it. And this shows 57.9. So this shows considerably over. You gotta love it, right? I changed it just the littlest bit, and now I'm heavy. And this is why we take a little more time on the rifle side. Alright, so we're almost there, guys. Hang in there. I'm trying not to cut any of this film because I want you to see it's coming in a little bit heavy again. So obviously something changed and it suddenly can fit a touch more than I want. Right there, you saw me kind of struggle with it a bit. That's kind of shearing a kernel in half when it stops you that bad. What I've experienced is that typically is going to give you kind of a load that's about 1/10 off or so from what you want. So again, you kind of want smooth and steady when you're running the measure. So here we go again. It's coming in at 57.4, and it seems like my zero has changed a little bit on this scale. So now I'm going to add this powder to the pan that I just checked. This is coming in at 57.4. That's going to about drive me crazy. So I am going to correct this as best as I can, and we're going to call it. All right, let's hope this is the money shot. This is probably going way too far into this. Most people, if they've done their load development properly, then 57.4 should be, again, it's coming in at 57.4, even though I know I'm moving the scale. This says 57.5. I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna weigh several of these, and I just want to make sure, because this says 57.8. It sure doesn't come in at 57.8 here, but it does come in high, 57.6. So again, accuracy plus or minus 1/10 is what you're going to expect, especially from these extruded grains, which kind of look like little broken pencil leads. These are tough to get real exact measurements on, but I'm feeling real good that we are where we need to be. So so you can understand that when I want 57.5, that I'm okay with 57.4, 57.6, right? You following me? That is okay. One more. And then we're going to be pretty much done, because you really don't see me need to see me putting powder in a bunch of cases, right? That one measures just almost right on. Putting it over here onto the scale. This is showing 57.7, so there's definitely a discrepancy between my electronic scale. Now you have to realize I just turned this scale on, and it really, they like to have quite a while to acclimate. It's still showing 57.7. My balance beam scale, which I'm extremely confident in, shows 57.6. So, because it's a little on the high side. So I'm good. I'm going to use this load in my 270 cases. We're going to make sure we keep it airtight if we possibly can. And we are going to use a powder funnel, which is one of these little contraptions. They come in a variety of sizes. If you choose, what I'm actually going to do, because I have a type of powder funnel on the tip of this, all I'm going to do is take these cases, flip them all upside down like you see here, and then we are actually just going to run them under the powder measure or dispenser, whatever you want to call it. Can get a little tricky until you get your rhythm down. You're not going to really double charge these cases with this particular load. Not saying that you don't have to be vigilant, but if you double charge, then you are going to spill powder all over the place. What a lot of people do, and I'll leave you this tip here at the end. I'm going to stop short. What a lot of people do is when they fight the powder measure, like you saw me doing, kind of a little more, a little less, a little more, a little less, they can use the same measure and come in a little shy. So we're doing 57.5. Come in at, say, consistently 57.2. And then you can use a powder trickler. This particular one is a Haas. Everybody makes one. Essentially, you put powder inside here, and there is a little hole the powder feeds in, and this has a threaded end. And so what you can do is you can put your powder pan, which is what this is, right on your scale and trickle the last remaining grains into your pan and get it perfect. And you know what? I'll do that with some loads. With this particular set of loads, I didn't. Most of the time I do, but that just gives you an option. It takes a little more time to do it this way, but you get, I believe, more accurate results. So if you have a powder trickler, you can try it that way. Well, that's it, guys. I am pretty much down to charging these last few cases here, and I appreciate you chiming in. This concludes the Reloading 123 powder measure and charging these cases. What we are going to do from here on is seat some bullets. We're going to review that process. I do it a little bit different than I mean, I guess I do it the same as everybody in the end, but I'll give you a couple of tips that'll hopefully give you more consistent bolt seating. So until that video, thanks guys for chiming in. I appreciate you signing on. Thanks. Bye.